What's up, guys? It is Kelsey here from Off the Bench. Pop surprised me a little bit with the music there. We're going to get that fade action going there strong.
I tried to fade. It wasn't working, man, so I just cut it.
Oh, cool. All right, guys. We hit a thrilling national championship game on Monday where Miami inevitably came up short. Indiana, the fewest mistake team in all of college football, made some mistakes down the stretch and gave Miami an opportunity, but in the end, Miami came up short, and we saw Indiana win its first ever national championship, if I'm correct.
First ever.
Second appearance ever, though. Right?
The first 16-0 team since like 1890 something Yale.
Yeah, I think it's 1897 Yale, if I remember right.
How old were you then?
I was I was negative.
You weren't even a sperm count, dude.
Negative 100.
None of us was.
And 3, if my math is correct here, maybe 2.
I think they were wearing leather helmets, and I think the football was an actual pig. Oh,
it's true here. Guys, we got an incredible show lined up for you, recapping the national championship game that took place Monday. More or less for a game that came down to the wire. I think the over-under hit on how many times we would see Fernando Mendoza's aunt. I think it was hit. It was
like 7. Once they started showing her, they didn't stop.
They didn't.
Yeah.
You're right.
Like the fourth quarter, I saw her like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
It was a lot of times there. That was one product that we had put forward on the show here. Monday night, we did our national championship kickoff show here, and we had a fun time. We had a great time. But guys, you guys were already in the comment section hitting us up. Carl hitting us up right before the show. Roll Tide Roll. Jamie Nace agreeing with him as well.
Roll Tide, baby.
Roll Tide.
So, hey, quick question though, Kels. One of the things when we were watching the show, it's fourth quarter and it was lining up. I thought Indiana was going to score.
I was fixing to ask,
and it was going to be 31-21. And
if
they would have scored that touchdown, and I thought, man, Kels just called it.
Now I got to ask you though.
Yeah.
Minute 44 left on the clock. Miami gets the ball back, and Carson Beck puts his helmet back on and walks out on the field.
Oh, I was
somebody puts a gun to your head and makes you pick right then and there. Are you sticking with Indiana, or did you think Carson Beck was fixing to do something amazing?
Sticking with Indiana. Look, and I get it. It's Carson Beck, most experienced quarterback in college football. We talked about that here before in the show. Pops has been riding that high throughout the playoff.
Yep.
But for me, I just never saw it. And the feelings that I had when he took over was, okay, I really want to see this Miami walk-off touchdown in fashion.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in my heart, I knew that Indiana's defense somehow, some way, like they have all year, somebody like D'Angelo Ponce was going to step up in the game and stop the game. Eventually, it was picked off. I don't know who actually picked the ball.
If I was playing safety right there,
Yeah.
I could have picked that ball off. Okay?
It was a bad
horrible
throw. It was underthrown.
As experienced as Carson Beck is and was, and I guess was for college football, his lack of motivation, as soon as he threw that, he knew it was big.
Oh, yeah.
It was a terrible freaking throw. And then just the true colors of Carson Beck came out after that. He was pouting, didn't say anything to anybody.
There was a fight after the game between
Fletcher.
Mark Fletcher Jr. and an Indiana defensive player. And I've heard a lot of talk on this, but my point at the end of it was a very emotional moment for Fletcher. That was probably the last chance he's going to have to make it to the national championship. I'm assuming Fletcher's going pro. He's a junior. He had a phenomenal year in college. So, yeah, a lot of question marks on that. We saw a lot of Malachi Toney rumors later last night that he was going to hit the portal. But as of right now, his mom has shut those rumors down. And the rules as follows is those two teams, Indiana and Miami, those players can still hit the transfer portal.
Only those two teams. Though.
Only those two teams. And those players can sign with other places. But if you it gets really fragile in a way because you don't have a lot of time to do so.
Right. I will tell you, you talked about how terrible of a throw that was. There are 2 simple rules when it comes to football. A, don't leave a guy wide open. And B, don't throw to the guy with the wrong color jersey on.
Yeah, don't throw into double coverage down the seam.
Mm-hmm.
And it was which was sad because he kind of broke both rules because there was a guy wide open and he threw it to the guy in the other color jersey. And it was both rules were broken on that play. And
so with how many times, we're talking about over-unders with how many times we'd see Fernando Mendoza's aunt. A lot of men got in trouble on Monday with the showing of Carson Beck. I'm assuming they're dating. I don't know the actual relationship, but it seems like they are.
Friend?
What, his porn star girlfriend?
Friend.
In other words, we'll say yes. That's exactly.
I don't think I'm gonna.
No, she was shown on screen, and I had pointed it out when they did it. I was like, "Oh, I'm surprised ESPN did that."
Man, that
producer
had balls.
She has now come out with a statement saying, "I wish they didn't do it."
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
she was probably Googled, and certain sites were probably.
She's probably 22 and retired from that.
Actually, I'm not sure if she's retired. She's a law student at the University of Miami.
Good for her.
So follow-up career.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there's a particular site that every year puts out their statistics.
It's like Spotify Wrapped.
Yes, but for not music.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, if they were to release the stats about the second that game was over, her name was very quickly moved to the. Miami might not have won the national championship that last night, but she definitely moved to the top of the playlist.
Moving on from this topic here, back to the game. I mean, the game we saw actually was phenomenal, and I thought that I had called my buddy during halftime, who's a Miami fan, and he was saying. I had made the point. I was like, dude, I have a feeling that Indiana is about to pick their foot up and put it on Miami's helmet. I felt like the game was over. Yeah. I thought in the second half that it was going to be a continuation. I think at halftime, Miami had 2 or 3 first downs, and that is it. So I had felt during that moment, I thought that Indiana was about to go really belt the ass on.
It never happened.
It never happened. Miami pushed their way back into that ball game. There was many mistakes in the ball game, right? Missed field goal for Miami. On top of that, the block punt that it really didn't seem like Indiana was going after, but a hand put up in the air.
They were in safety.
Yes.
They were in a punt safety. But okay, let me ask you a question. I watched that entire game.
Yeah,
and I am not going to take. First of all, to anybody listening on the interwebs, I am not taking anything away from the entire season that the Indiana Hoosiers put out on tape, on field.
Yep.
That was the absolute worst national championship winning team in the single game I have seen in a decade. I think last year's Ohio State would have boat raced them. I think Alabama from 2020 would have boat raced them. 2019 LSU would have boat raced them. I'm talking about in that single game, the way they played. It was ugly.
Weren't you the one saying just a couple of weeks ago comparing this team to the 2019 LSU team?
But my connection to the 2019 LSU team has nothing to do with other than the fact they came out of nowhere. They for 2 seasons were really good. The second season they put a Heisman Trophy quarterback in the backfield, the worst Heisman Trophy quarterback in a long time, and they're going to win the national championship. And in 2 years from now, you're never even going to talk about the 2025 Indiana team. Sir Kurt could be even fired if they go. They're going to next season. They're going to go 6-6, 7-5, and then the next season it's all over. But the writing on the wall.
I disagree. I actually think this Indiana team is going to continue its streak as long as Signetti is there.
And can I add to that?
Go ahead.
If you look at their portal class, I think they're number 2 in the portal class. You look at their recruiting. They're putting the pieces together to keep that. Can you create a Mendoza? No, Mendoza had a Heisman moment in the championship game when he was scrambling.
That run
in. If he didn't have one already with that throwing that one ball and the kid's foot was a half-inch in bounds against Penn State, but he had a Heisman moment in the national championship game. And Kels, you remember when we were talking during the game, I said, man, special teams is what has separated this game. There was the block punt, which turned into a touchdown, and there was another 3-point swing somewhere, and I'm forgetting. It was Miami missing a field goal. Okay?
I will say this.
That's a 10-point swing.
I will say this. This Indiana team and what Kirk Cinetti did beautifully was he looked, and I'm telling you, this is why I think they're going to fall off, because Nick Saban is a great coach.
Yeah.
He was able to go to high schools, see kids that were 3 and 4 stars, bring them on, and eventually they were, drafted to the NFL. Kirk Cinetti went and played the game by the current rules, and he figured out there's no reason for me to spend a bunch of money on an 18-year-old 5-star when I can spend a bunch of money on a kid that's 23 and has shown me production. Well, all he's done now is created the blueprint for how to do it. And teams like LSU, Texas, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, if they can, Ohio State is going to go, oh, why do I care about recruiting anymore?
Yeah.
I don't need to recruit. Their recruiting class for the last 4 years is the worst recruiting class
3-4 stars
to win a national championship ever.
Yeah, but it's those experienced transfer portal kids that brought
That's because they spent their money wisely. So now Alabama's going to look and go, well, crap, why don't I just, instead of me buying the 18-year-old that may or may not pan out, why don't I pay the 21-year-old who's had a couple of good seasons?
You're going to see a heavy recruiting base out of Alabama go through Alabama, the state of Alabama, the state of Georgia, the state of Florida, the state of Tennessee, state of Mississippi. That's all you're going to see from Alabama in the future. I don't think you go long range across the country and put that effort in when you can wait till the transfer portal opens and then make that effort to go across the country.
And it's going to come down to, if we stick by the rules that were put into place, that every team, and I was going to say this to you, and then we were like, oh, we got like a minute till we're live, and I'll just wait and hold it then. According to the House lawsuit, every team in college sports, college athletics, every team is supposed to have, and only supposed to have, $22.5 million. That is what they are supposed to spend on student athletes. That not a dime less, not a dime more.
Total for the whole university, not just for football.
$22.5 million. You're going to tell me that there are teams out here that are offering $6-8 million for a quarterback that is one of 85 players on the football team, not to mention the 12 that are on the basketball team, not to mention the 12 on the women's basketball team, the 6 or 10 on the volleyball team. It's supposed to be $22.5 million total.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, if it comes out, and it's 2025 is going to be the year of Lane Kiffin when it's all said and done, because the rules that he is breaking, and I feel like he's trying to break them on purpose. So
see how far you can go.
Well, not just that, because the only way to fix something sometimes is you have to break it. And the tampering with the Ole Miss players, that's seems to be just blatant. And now people are coming out and saying, oh, it was a lie. That's not how much I was. Okay. You telling me Lane Kiffin didn't know how much you signed for? Sorry. I absolutely believe Lane Kiffin knew exactly how much you signed for. Oh, because he probably offered you the exact same amount and you decided not to do it, so he could just put that information out there. And so they're going to push the rules, and then finally, either A, you're going to get, Congress is going to have to give them an exemption for the antitrust, or somebody's going to have to come and go, nope, you're allowed $22.5 million, and if you do a dime less or a dime more, you're not in the playoff, you're not in March Madness, you're not in Omaha, you're not in Oklahoma for the softball. You're done. You got $22.5 million. Good luck.
Well, so, I know we're going to talk about a little bit Dorian Mensah later, the Duke quarterback, and what's happening in that situation over there. But I still wanted to stick with the Indiana transfer portal class, and I want to be blatantly honest about this when I say this. I mean, they brought in Josh Hoover from TCU. They brought in Nick Marsh from Michigan State. Phenomenal wide receiver, okay? Maybe hadn't got the playing time he deserves. Chaz Preston, Tulane, formerly of Alabama, okay? Turbo Richard, he's from Boston College. Another good running back to bring in this class. The big drawback right now is that they have lost Alberto Mendoza, the younger brother of Fernando Mendoza from what I'm saying right now, I don't know if this is 100% certain. I haven't exactly seen this unless, okay, this was done yesterday. Georgia Tech, now Alberto Mendoza, Georgia Tech went to Georgia Tech. There is talent in this class on both the offensive and defensive side in the transfer portal. But does it translate to another 16-0 type season? Does it translate to a 14-2 type season? Okay. Does it translate, to these even just making the playoffs? I don't think so from where their transfer standpoints right now. Now, I get it. Transfers are not everything to a team. But if I'm looking at this transfer class, looking at the big names in it, I'm not saying that Indiana's making a playoff next year.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Wait a minute. Does that mean I'm possibly right?
To a point.
No, really?
Yeah.
I
refuse to agree with
so
Rich.
you don't think they make the playoff. So I guess the whole, and I haven't followed this at all this week. There was supposed to be a decision. I think it's made by this Friday. The Big Ten and the SEC have to make that decision on the 16 team. They have to come to some sort of agreement. If that decision doesn't get made by this Friday, so it's a 12-team playoff if it doesn't get made.
Yeah.
So you don't think they make the playoff. So that means they're probably not in the top 1 to 3 within the Big Ten or 1 to 4.
Unless I see a significant amount of development come out of Indiana's camp in the spring, and I'm seeing guys, which will probably happen. What I will actually say is you could see a Florida State situation.
Ooh. Meaning
when they came out of camp in spring last year, everybody was saying this team is huge. Physicality is all over the field. They look like they're going to be an amazing team. But when it came down to it, they were just outmatched by other teams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a harsh take, and that's a really, really hot take to take against Signetti. So I wouldn't sit out there and say that's exactly what's going to happen, but I could see something similar coming into camp with them looking really good, playing in, spring against each other, and then they go out of the field and they realize real quickly, this is not the same team from last year.
So what we needed to get are those Indiana guys are doing the same thing we're doing, and that we were dogging them. We were like, oh man, this team ain't that good. They're still a basketball school, but they were behind their team. What we need to get, okay, and you guys give us your opinion online there. Get those guys on the show one day,
Kirkwood done,
and let's have this conversation. Because they're going to tell you from a passion who their good players are, who they're not. But I'll challenge you a little bit, though, Kelsey, with saying Indiana, you just don't see it happening. Well, nobody saw Indiana winning the national championship game this year either. Nobody saw Mendoza lighting up and winning the Heisman. Nobody saw that offensive line and that defensive line winning all of those team awards.
It shaped up real quickly toward the beginning of the season where we realized, Indiana has a run defense. Yeah. Okay. And it took me a while to accept, Indiana's actually got a phenomenal team, a national championship type winning team. Is this kid from Miami who was declined a walk-on scholarship to the University of Miami actually a Heisman winning quarterback? It took me a while to actually sit there and say, okay, this kid does have that talent. This whole team actually has that talent.
Yeah.
But we still questioned it based upon the teams they were playing.
We 100% did. We questioned it all year long. I tell you what, I won't ever question a kid like that again, especially when you look at he was playing hard, man. You see his arms after the game. God, he was tore up.
Beat up.
And so let's talk a little bit about a play in the game real quick. That non-targeting call, we've been complaining about targeting calls all year. With people hitting Ty Simpson and hitting Williams, okay, Bama's young receiver. But how does that call, which was like 2 seconds after the play was over,
right,
not get called on the field?
At least get reviewed. I mean, we especially SEC guys, we have been conditioned that every other play is reviewed.
Yeah,
and then we got into the playoffs, and it was like
flags went away.
It's like they forgot their flag. They left their flags at home,
especially in the national championship. I mean, there was a lot of pass interference calls that I thought they let go. But I'm a fan of letting.
Handsy. It was very handsy.
I'm a fan of letting a lot of calls go, especially pass interference, a PI call. That you see hands from both sides going at each other. But if it's blatantly in one side, I get it. Call the play.
Right.
Where's the referee positioned on the field?
like
right behind the
7 yards behind the quarterback.
All right. How does that referee not see that Miami defender, which was one of their star linebackers, come up and just pop Mendoza? And if you don't think that was on purpose, come on.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was like, all right,
early in the game too. They were trying to
let's just take their quarterback out of the game, and I'll sit for the rest of the game.
I will sit here and say right now, going back to what you just said, with the talent that Indiana has on the field, Miami takes out Mendoza. What was it, third, fourth play of the game? It looked like. I mean, it was early in the game. Miami wins that game.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
Because Mendoza is Cam Newton, is Joe Burrow. They came out of nowhere. Nobody talked about them really and truly, the year before. All of a sudden, Cam Newton walks out on a football field, puts an S on his chest, and just starts destroying everybody.
Yeah. Joe
Burrow did the same thing in 2019. Mendoza did it this year. They take Mendoza out that early in the game, and this becomes it's Colt McCoy.
Well, Alberto Mendoza.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a good comparison. I mean, look what Bama did to Colt McCoy in that national championship game.
They still blame everything. Like,
yeah,
every time something bad happens in Texas, they blame it on Colt McCoy.
Y'all took our player out, and Bama does have a history. Remember, for breaking legs, Francois in Florida State,
Mettenberg crawling off the field for LSU was one of the.
Well, so it's a whole different game when you bring in Alberto Mendoza to be the quarterback of the team, who, yes, has filled in its spots for Fernando this year, but
actually had pretty good numbers.
He did, but you're talking about maybe a game of experience combined.
You're not talking about the Heisman Trophy winner, right?
No, you're not, and it changes the offense up a lot when you have to do that. And that's why you see, Bama to destroy a lot of these teams, that when they get their leg broken, they go out there and destroy the team for the rest of the game.
Well,
it also messes with them in the head.
Yeah,
it seems out like we've lost our leader.
Yeah,
And I sit there and I think about swing plays in that game. I think that was a big swing play. It wasn't called. Obviously, the blocked kick. I mean, that was a freaking that block. I keep coming back to the special teams. That blocked kick and that missed field goal. That's a 10-point swing. You reverse that, and man, it's a different ball game. And the blocked kick, that the punter just looked like he was so lackadaisical. Like, I got all the time in the world. Hold on. Let me go take a piss. Oh, I'm going to kick the football.
Yeah.
He finally kicks it, gets blocked. Indiana gets on the end zone touchdown. It's like, are you serious? Did that just happen?
It was almost like the defender was just like, hey, can I have this, please?
It's like almost in slow motion.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it felt like to me.
It was definitely an interesting turn of events, and it swung the momentum 100%, because I felt like Miami was I'm going to sit here and tell you, with 1:44 left on the clock, if you'd have called me, I'd have put every dime I could have that Miami was fixing to just come down this field. They're going to put it in the end zone. They're going to win the national championship game at home by 1 point, and it is just going to be like this great story, and we'll talk about what could have been for Indiana for another 20 years.
So let's think about something real quick. I'm going to come back. I really want to target in on that point in the game, right? I sit there and I say that Beck threw a terrible ball.
Yeah.
Okay. At that point, Miami had used its timeout, so they got the ball back. So they had no timeouts to stop the clock. So in both your opinions, do you think Beck panicked?
I think Beck at that point thought his guy was going to be open and had made in his mind, that's who I'm throwing it to. And that's all that's it.
Yeah. Carl says and this comment was made a few minutes ago, and we're first talking about this play. He said that Indiana changed their coverage, and it was the first time that the corner was lagging. So in other words, you were playing a player in front of a player and behind a player.
Yeah.
So now we're looking at a situation now that a third straight Big Ten school has won the national championship. A lot of people want to start asking the question, is it time for the SEC to panic? Here's what I had response to it of kind of what Nick Saban said.
Great quote.
Saban pretty much goes, well, the only way to get players up to the Midwest from the South is you got to pay them. My response to this is still, and you and Pops tried to talk me out of this the other day, was that the way NIL works, how it's positioned right now, is it favors the Big Ten. because that's where a lot of the money's at on the top-heavy schools. Speaking of top-heavy schools, the Big Ten, what was the numbers today? The Big Ten had 3 schools, right, in the
top 15.
In the top 15 of the AP poll.
Alabama
had 7.
The SEC had 7.
SEC had 7.
Here's my vast disagreement with you on that. That you say NIL favors that region.
Yes, from the big schools, Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana, Penn State, let's give or take Oregon. There's 5 teams for you right there. You know,
Texas,
how do you
Texas Tech, Texas A&M.
Well,
hold on.
Tech ain't SEC.
How?
I'm just saying the oil money.
But this is how the Big Ten views their quote little brother in the South. The Big Ten are luxury car dealers, car manufacturers.
Yeah.
The Big Ten are luxury car manufacturers. The SEC are little old car dealerships.
Yeah.
That's how it's viewed, especially for those top teams like Ohio State and Michigan.
So the Big Ten has the B's and the SEC has the M's. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at NIL money. I mean, Texas doesn't try to hide
How much is Ohio State?
South, right?
But how much is Ohio State pulling in right now? How much is Michigan pulling in from Portnoy alone? Now you have Cuban coming along now.
With Indiana.
Portnoy completely much paid Underwood.
Yeah.
That was essentially the whole. Portnoy pretty much said, take my money, come to Michigan. I want you here. Okay. Urban, I don't know who, or not Urban, excuse me. Cuban, I don't know who he paid. As far as we know, that went straight to the NIL fund at Bloomington, Indiana.
He was sporting that Indiana t-shirt the other night.
But here's my thing. If that's the case,
yeah,
what is stopping the Yellowwood guy from saying, all right, like you brought up the point, we're going to suck for 3 years, and I'm going to put my money in a CD for 3 years, and on year 4, I'm going and buying everybody, and it's 10 mil across the board. Auburn's going to win a national championship. What's to stop Sam Walton, the Walton family, from saying Arkansas is winning a national championship? Anybody and everybody in the state of Texas that walks on dirt and finds black gold Texas tea, if you would, how is that not the thing? There has to be some sort of way of making it fair for everybody, because love them or hate them, little old Mississippi State cannot hang with even Alabama, who right now can't hang with Ohio State, who can't hang with LSU, as far as the amount of money that's being thrown around.
So we've gone completely off topic here for the national championship. So let's fold back a little bit. Let's reel back into the national championship, finish that off, and then we're going to move on to a little bit of the transfer portal talk.
All right.
So congratulations, Indiana. Phenomenal season, 16-0. First time to do it since Harvard, I think, in 1897. It was a great cap off for the end of the year, for the end of the college football season. It came down to really the last play of the national championship. Okay, one of the last plays, give or take, in the national championship, which is more than a lot of college football fans can ask. Yeah. Right? I mean, it was a great game. The second half really took off. It was really decided by the missed field goal from Miami, which completely ended up deciding that game. Okay, not to mention the block punt by Indiana. And again, down the stretch, the shot was given. The bend don't break. Miami defense showed up after a false start from a very, very experienced, disciplined line. And it backed them up. Miami had the bend don't break. And there you go, giving Miami their opportunity to have Carson back roll down the field.
Can I also say something about what surprised me in that game? The home field advantage for Miami.
There wasn't one.
It didn't come through.
So 29% of the ticket sales for that game came from the state of Florida, the state of Indiana, and the state of Illinois.
Yeah. So you're saying that there was just a bunch of people that really weren't rooting for either team?
Well, I think there was a lot of it's in Miami. I mean, I feel like this is probably a national championship we're going to look back on and realize that this was a very star-studded attendance group.
Well, it's not just that. Have you ever been to a Final Four?
No.
All right. So I got the opportunity to go 2 years ago when Alabama went. So the Final Four was Purdue, North Carolina State, Alabama, and UConn. It was about 15% Bama fans, 15% North Carolina State, 15 Purdue, 15 UConn. The other 40% was just a hodgepodge. The guy sitting beside me was a huge North Carolina fan. There was a guy walking around with a Texas Tech shirt, like teams that weren't even in the even in the Sweet 16, let alone the Final Four. And so it becomes this event and everything. It's very Super Bowl-ish at this point, where it's more of an event. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it loud and proud into the camera. The Indiana fans out there that are listening to this, enjoy it. Go buy the shirts, go buy the paintings, go buy all the merch.
Yeah.
And then save your money for another 25 years, because that's going to be the next time you're back playing in a game that matters.
Well, what I'd always said, and I don't know if I have a receipt for this because this was so long ago. There was a while back, I was on a show called The Bullpen. It aired on 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, back when the radio station was The Ump. I was a producer on that show, and I remember the question being asked, what will it take? Because now that this was right when NIL got implemented, and they're saying, this looks like a perfect setup for Miami, these big city teams, right? And I, if I remember right, what I had said about this whole thing was Miami, if they ever get the shot to actually pull in this money, okay, this will be the perfect place for an NIL-driven team, okay? Because when you start bringing kids, transfers, on recruiting visits, on private yachts, to when they get to go down there and experience a nightclub, okay? Not on Teen Time, of course. But they go see the campus.
Not underage, of course, too.
Not underage, of course. When they go see that they can have all that, plus $2.5 million.
I'm sure Carson Beck's girlfriend has friends.
Now we're getting into a Rick Pitino style recruiting effort.
No, because your point is valid. I mean, you put all the stars out there and all the fancy lights and big buildings. And
my biggest point is, okay, if these coaches at these smaller city schools, okay, unfortunately, this is going to be the case for
the vast
Alabama, Tuscaloosa, okay, Athens, Georgia,
Auburn,
close to Auburn. Columbia's rather large in South Carolina. That's a larger city.
No,
Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Yeah,
Fayetteville, Arkansas. Okay, so you go down to the number of these schools. NIL, if we keep moving down the trajectory that we think we're going to see over the next couple of years, if they can pull in those big coaches from those smaller city schools, then you will see a dominant force come from these big city schools.
I think you're going to see something crazy. Like, you talk about how much money like Mark Cuban has and everything.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be something stupid happen, like a UNLV.
So hold on.
Who's the number one NIL school right now? Do you guys know? Like valuation?
Texas Tech.
Okay. There's also another school.
BYU?
No, you're forgetting a school. Okay, like transfer portal, NIL money.
LSU.
And you're talking about big city.
I mean, LSU is it, but that's bad.
Y'all need to go west, my friends.
USC?
It's USC.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The problem is Lane Kiffin can't put together his staff enough to hold through
Southern California
season.
Right. Yeah.
And USC is another LA, California, LA, Miami. Okay. You go down even more list on these schools. Look at San Diego State coming up in the future. Okay.
San Diego State, a UNLV.
And San Diego State's moving up to the Pac-12 as well. If the Pac-12 can get their rails right, okay, these schools that are moving up there that are in bigger cities like San Diego State, they just boosted their NIL department, okay? Yep. If the Pac-12 can actually recover from the crisis that we saw them go through, they've come back to now, I think, are they 9 teams now this coming year? It's a lot of state schools.
Yeah.
It's Utah State, Fresno State, San Diego State, San Jose State stayed down.
Yeah.
Washington State and Oregon State still there. But back to my point here, these schools that are lower level, like the Mountain West, moving up to the Pac-12, whatever, Conference USA, Sun Belt schools. These schools, these schools that are in large cities,
SMU, San Diego State, UNLV. Are you telling me there's not some big money guys in Vegas that wouldn't go, hey, let's put some money behind UNLV, who has a very easy schedule because of who they are?
Yeah.
You don't have to throw as much money at them to get to a playoff and have a great team because their schedule is set the way it is.
And because this take is going to be taken idiotically, especially across social media.
So how do the
Pops is already doing it?
How do the Courtney Morgans of Alabama? How does he compete with that being a general manager? What can he do to bring in those players that are attracted by the glitz and stars and glamour? What can he do to bring them to Tuscaloosa?
Only thing a GM can do about that is, because without the money, you can't compete with the money.
Yeah,
it is personal relationship.
Yeah,
you've got to go old school in that regard.
So what did Alabama just do? What did they just get from LSU?
They got the a defensive lineman, wasn't it?
No, they got the dang one of their LSU's main recruiters is on the Alabama staff now. I'm going blank on his name, but so the coaches of the world, the DeBoers of the world, they're seeing that. Okay, it's like, how do you get these guys to come in that are very good with relationships with players? I mean, do you think that the freshman coming in, Morgan, or Ryan Williams last year, I mean, why did he come to Bama? Courtney Morgan had a lot to do with that.
Well, I will even go this far. You can say what you want about Miami having the yachts and the everything, and LA's got the glitz and the glamour and the pop stars and everything. There is one thing that Tuscaloosa has that no other team of the other 133 have, and that is the greatest coach to ever walk a football field.
And you also got the $1 million band. No, I'm playing.
And you're going to have to use him in one of two ways. Either A, to actually level the playing field and turn him into the czar of college football, or you've got to use his name, image, and likeness. Because they used to say, Colin Cowherd said this 100 times, that Alabama got a Nick Saban discount code on all these players. If somebody else was willing to offer him $3 million, Alabama could offer him $2 million, because Nick Saban was there, and the way that Nick Saban recruited and the way that he was able to put players. I've said this before. One of the greatest things I think Nick Saban ever did was he would send posters to these kids that were thinking about coming to Bama, and two of them that he put out, for instance, and I would love to have a copy of both of them. One is the jerseys of every player that was in the NFL at the time.
Yeah.
That's great. That's wonderful. Hey, kid, come to Alabama. You can one of your jerseys can be on our next poster. The other one was a copy of the first check that every Alabama player in the NFL had received, and it had down at the bottom how much money it was, just the first check.
Yeah. And
those kind of recruiting tools, yes. Hey, awesome. You can go play at insert SEC school here and get $1 million more than you can at Alabama. But if you come to Alabama, we're going to teach you how to go to the NFL and set yourself up for success going forward.
Well, we've had the conversation over and over again how DeBoer cannot be Nick Saban, right?
No.
Okay, and I don't know in today's landscape if unless Saban comes back to Alabama, will you ever see that from a coach again?
No.
And I don't even think if he came back right now, he would do it. I think the game has changed so much in the last 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
The argument that I've heard the last couple of days is Kurt Cignetti that next guy to do what Nick Saban did in Alabama? Regardless of what we had talked about earlier on the show, he's too damn old.
He's 60, what, 8?
Is he gonna win 6 more national championships?
No, he's not.
Okay, he's closer to going pro than getting closer to being the next Nick Saban. He is closer to coaching a pro team than being the next Nick Saban. That is the problem with Cignetti and this long-term success that Indiana is trying to facilitate, but it's just not there. It's not.
Well, I think he hit lightning in a bottle. I think he hit the quarterback. He realized with the transfer portal, as we keep coming back to, we can say all we want to about the national championship game. It all comes down to the Jimmies and the Joes.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, the way the college football is set up, the Jimmies and the Joes are in the transfer portal, and the Jimmies and Joes want to see checks. They want to see cash. They want to see straight cash, homie, as Randy Moss once so eloquently said. And he had the ability to put. That's why I said Nick Saban was a great coach. Cignetti is a great manager.
Yeah.
He figured out how to manage the money, how to manage the transfer portal, how to manage his team this year, and put out a great team on the football field. Nick Saban won 6 national championships, 7 if you count LSU, by drafting 3 and 4 and 5 stars, sending them through the process, creating great football players that went on to the NFL, and was consistently great at recruiting. Indiana had a terrible recruiting average over the last 4 years. They hit lightning in the bottle in 1.5 transfer portals, the one basically half of the one last year and then the one this year. And that's why they were able to go out there and win. And still, with as great as that team was, they went up against a Miami that you keep bringing up about the fact that Miami should be able to recruit and spend the money because of it's Miami, it's South Beach, it's tax free. I'm surprised nobody's talking about this. Tennessee and Texas and Florida should just be absolutely destroying everybody because I can offer you less money because you're not taxed down here.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
So my question is about Florida. Where's the Gatorade guys, man? Gatorade was created at the University of Florida, yet I have not seen a dime.
It happens. Trust me.
It's like some teams are scared. They're like scared to spend money.
Yeah, 100%.
So real quick, come back. We always say we're doing this show for the people listening, right?
Yeah.
Carl has screamed at least 3 times in his chat. I can hear him right now, and he has said, "Endowment, guys, endowments." Okay. All right, Richie, you're the financial guy over there. What does that mean?
Well, you've got some universities out there, and mainly they're going to be your Ivy League schools that have millions upon, if not possibly billions of dollars just sitting around in endowments. It's former alumni who continue to pay different fees and different things and donate money and the West Wing and everything. So we can say what we want to about these big cities. Nobody, not a single team, not a single university has more money than I think it's Yale. It may be Harvard. It's one of those two. Has significantly more money than Alabama does at their disposal that they can just snap their fingers and have. So what's to keep an Ivy League school from doing this?
Because Ivy League has not played that level of football in forever. And here's the truth of it. They didn't want to continue putting money into to a football program that you have to maintain a certain GPA for. I mean, you have a 5.0.
Why does
to go to
matter?
Harvard?
They graduated 2 years ago. What do I care?
Yeah, I think that was the best quote of the week, by the way. That was awesome. Beck, what classes? I graduated 2 years ago. I didn't get into class.
Do they want to deal with Carson Beck, though? I mean, Carson Beck is do they want to deal with he wants to do off the field? These football players. Vanderbilt gave up on that years ago. Okay, before Clark Lea came to town. When James Franklin was the head coach at Vanderbilt, there was a huge scandal there.
Yeah, but with the GPA.
No, it wasn't the GPA. No. There was a complete scandal. It was some kind of it was big legal problem. I think it was a sexual legal problem. Okay.
What were they bringing hookers to players? What?
No. I think
because that's what the attraction is in Miami.
So okay,
it's the hookers.
Vanderbilt. I if I remember right, there was a it was some kind of sexual harassment thing. I don't remember it was a couple of the players. Franklin denied any knowledge of it. All this happened, right? So Franklin jumps ships, goes to Penn State. Vanderbilt said, okay, we're done. We don't want to deal with what happens with these 4, 5-star college football players because they decide that they're a great team.
Yeah.
They decide that we want to be a good team, but yet we don't want to deal with the off the field issues that comes with these very high priced, very big
Big name.
Big-headed.
Big name, big
I'm a
headed.
pop star. I'm
Exactly.
cocky.
Right.
you
They
know,
don't want to deal with that.
I'm-
Why would Harvard and Yale ever touch that?
No.
They're not worried about that.
So I Googled it, so I have the exact right answer.
Yeah.
The largest endowment of any university in the country is Harvard, and 2024 fiscal year is estimated to be somewhere north of $52 billion.
with the B.
So
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got a little more. The second is $5 billion behind them
Is it Arkansas?
is the University of Texas.
Oh,
Third is Yale with 41 billion, Stanford at 37, and Princeton rounds out your top 5 at $34 billion.
So by
means
that
the difference between
standpoint,
first and fifth.
but by
is-
that standpoint, is you're saying that Stanford and Texas should be the leader in college football right now. We're going to go back to Andrew Luck days with a mix of Colt McCoy back there quarterbacks.
Which well, what I'm saying is if there's not actual rules in place
Yeah.
of it being fair, there's no reason for Yale to not use 1 billion of their dollars,
yeah.
of their 52 billion,
Yeah.
and decide, you know what, this year it's us.
You know, I got to imagine, you talked to top 5, right? But I've got to imagine that the University of Arkansas is somewhere in there. Okay. I have to imagine that Utah is somewhere in there. BYU is somewhere in there, simply because I'm just going to say that it's the whole cannot talk.
Mormon, Walmart.
Mormon church. And in Arkansas is Walmart. I mean, that's the whole Bentonville. That's where Walmart's based out of.
Or Benton.
Right.
I'll just hit the main universities that we're familiar with.
Yeah.
Notre Dame comes in at 7.
Yeah.
Sense.
And Carl was yelling Notre Dame at me a few minutes ago. USC and Notre Dame.
Duke is 12th. Vanderbilt is 15th with $10 billion. So the difference between first and 15th is $42 billion. USC is 18th. Rice 19th.
Rice.
Oh, Rice. I thought you like Wright State.
Like Rice,
Okay.
Kentucky. We're talking about food here.
Georgetown 26th. I mean, there's a bunch of teams. TCU is 34th.
So
I don't
Carl
see
online,
Arkansas, Tulane is 42nd.
yeah. Carl online says take the Ivy League out of that list, then compare. Look at the transfer portal spending, and I mean, you could probably mirror it. I mean, we've already mentioned Notre Dame, we've already mentioned USC,
But Stanford doesn't spend any money.
okay.
Notre Dame has, but their transfer portal was not great this year. Northwestern is 9th on this list. I completely missed them. They don't spend any money.
That's Midwestern Chicagoland. What is that yet?
They're a Big Ten school, though.
Yeah,
Like Duke is 12th. So I mean, we can say
spending all that money on basketball.
Yeah, but Northwestern's homeless right now. They don't have a football stadium. They're playing on the banks of Lake Michigan. Actually, it's beautiful where they play right now. It's just a makeshift stadium.
I wouldn't want to be in Michigan. I mean, on the banks of Lake Michigan right now.
No, but early in the season, when you got 85-degree weather sitting off Lake Michigan, and you're actually it's still pretty hot for football.
I want to come back to you talking about Vandy for a second.
Yeah.
If what I think is going to eventually happen is that this House ruling actually takes effect, and every school across the country has $22.5 million, and they have to spend exactly $22.5 million. Does Vandy go, cool, you're never beating us in baseball again? We may go 0-12
in football.
Does Kentucky say, awesome, you're never beating us in basketball ever again?
It depends. One, okay, if Clark Leah, if he decides to take a job elsewhere, okay, and there's no formidable hire, and that's when they draw that line and say, oh, it's time. Let's just let football go down the drain. We're gonna put all this money into baseball.
Yeah.
Okay. And basketball. Let's say baseball and basketball. Because historically, baseball, basketball, Vanderbilt.
But even then, what I'm saying is Vandy says, no, we're going to spend the entire $22.5 million
just on
baseball.
I think it depends where the spot in their program is at that point in time. Okay. Are we looking at historically they're going to be good in baseball no matter what? Okay.
Right.
They've put so much effort into that. They're not going to give that up. Okay. Football, Clark Leah leaves. There's no formidable option to replace him. All right. Let's
What's to keep Kentucky from saying there's 12 guys on the basketball team?
Kentucky spent $22.5 million on their team this year.
Yeah, okay. So Will Stein at Kentucky, you're actually there.
I'm talking basketball.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, basketball.
but football. Will Stein, this head coach guy at Kentucky, this is such an underrated hire. He is having guys visit that are 4- and 5-star players.
Yeah.
Okay, they're visiting. Great transfer portal class. Well, great. I say great. Good transfer portal class. Good for Kentucky.
Yeah.
Their high school recruiting, it looks like Will Stein's completely changed over from what Stoops had it have. They're getting 4- and 5-star players to visit in Lexington. This all depends how you're putting this. This all depends on where their programs are at that point in time when this puts in place. If they're ready to give up on a program because they're not seeing any return on investment.
Okay, let me go one step.
But your problem is if you give up on football, you're giving up on a third of your revenue.
No, you're giving up a lot of money.
No, you're not. Not in the SEC. You're not. You still get the same check that Alabama gets.
Media check, yeah.
And and what I'm saying is, and that's going to be the question is if somebody like if Vanderbilt wakes up tomorrow and goes, every team across the country, not just the 133 in football, every university has a check for $22.5 million and they have to spend it. That means Georgetown, who doesn't have a football program but has a heck of a basketball history, has $22.5 million that they have to spend on everybody.
Yeah.
That means USC, who has a rowing team, a gymnastics team, a volleyball team, a
fencing team.
They have all of this. They're got to spend their $22.5 million across whoever whatever they decide. What would stop a team like Vanderbilt going, we know we cannot compete at the $22.5 million line against Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi State even, but ain't nobody touching us on the baseball field.
I still say it depends on the state of their programs.
Think about
they would basically throw the program. They don't care.
So
yeah, but if you're in a situation where you have a guy like Harklayer right now who's doing phenomenal things,
they're not going to compete against the big boys.
Yeah, but right out
against Texas, you're not going to compete against Bama. I want to play the middle game on your comparison there, Richie. What would it do to a program, a university? Got to come back to Alabama, right? Sporting that A on the hat. What would it? I mean, think about what Bama's done in the last couple of years in basketball. Okay, in the SEC, a very competitive program, been to the Final Four. And then so all of a sudden you got to split that $22 million with the basketball program and the football program.
And you're forgetting at some point in time.
And the cheerleaders.
I was gonna say, at some point in time, somebody's going to yell Title IX from somewhere in the back. And now if I'm only going to be able to spend $11.25 million on boys. I've got to spend $11.25 on girls because of Title IX. It has to be fair. So Alabama's going to throw money at their gymnastics team and their cheerleaders
who just won a national championship.
By the way, I was going to give a shout out to my daughter who watched that. They dropped a stunt and still won the national championship. So amazing job by the Alabama all-girls team. Great job. I will take a second since we haven't done this the entire time. We're 50-something minutes in. Please, if you're liking this, hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the bell for notifications. Every time we go live, you can hear us. Alice, if you're out there watching, I love you. Go Cardinals.
We're going to have to start bringing Carl onto the show, and I was talking with him earlier today. He's making some pretty valid points, Kelsey. Why don't you read that last point?
No, 100%. Tennessee House of Rep has already said that they will not follow that $22 million guideline. The SEC is kind of threatening to kick them out of the conference because of this.
Imagine if the SEC kicked the balls out.
Where they go? Where are they going to go? They won't go to the SEC.
They'll go to the ACC.
They won't go to the ACC.
Why? Why wouldn't they?
Every team in the
they'd go independent.
They would go independent before they would go.
That's the thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the luxury item right there.
Right there. The ACC, as soon as 2028 hits, you could have Miami, Clemson.
I've heard so many dates.
Syracuse. You could have so many teams jump ship from that conference. I don't see that happening. They would most likely be an independent.
But the SEC, first of all, Tennessee's not going to leave the SEC. It comes down to the commissioner of the SEC saying, no, it's 22.5 or that's it. They're going to go, yes, sir. And guess who else has to do that?
Yeah.
LSU has to do that, which in Lane Kiffin's contract states that LSU is putting up another $25 million for the football program. If it ever goes into effect that they have to follow the house rule, his contract is now null and void because they cannot do that anymore.
So real quickly, guys, we got about 5 minutes here in the show left. So we brought up Dorian Mensah earlier, who entered the portal, Duke player. He entered the portal right before the transfer portal ended, and obviously he was going to Miami.
Yes,
at that point. Okay, now the University of Duke or Duke University, Duke University is now threatening to sue Dorian Mensah because of him jumping in the portal and trying to transfer, because he was, quote, tampered with Miami.
So Miami needs to pay part of that lawsuit, but if you're going to play with the big boys, be prepared for some damn lawsuits.
But here's the deal. If Miami said, all right, we're done, no more, we're out of lawsuit, we don't want to deal with this, Dorian Mensah, we're done with you, we don't want you to come here, okay?
Yeah.
And then Mensah stays with Duke.
If Duke allows him back.
But here's the thing. Why would a team, if they're going to sue the player anyways,
you're
going to have him back.
But what if you're going to sue me?
It's the same thing with Desmond Williams Jr. up at Washington, because they did the same thing when LSU tried to go get Desmond Williams.
But if you're going to sue me, how much of my heart am I giving you? Mendoza won a national championship Monday night because his heart bled crimson in Indiana.
But that's the whole thing. You're really going to sue a guy, and then you're going to accept him back. If you're going to sue him, you're going to accept back on the roster.
But Richie's point is very valid, Kelsey. I mean, there's no loyalty at that point.
No,
right?
There's
no players looking at the university going, man, you just sued me and you want me to come back and play quarterback?
And that is the entire issue.
You better pay me some money, baby, because it's all about the money at this point.
Cole Kublik was talking about this the other day. Yeah. That's the entire issue with it. You're going to go sue a player, expect him to come back to your program, okay? What happens when he throws that first pick in August?
And throws it on purpose.
What happens?
First pick.
One, the fans are going to turn on him because they saw
the distrust that he wanted to go to Miami.
Yeah. Okay? Fans are going to turn on him.
I'm almost certain Duke and Miami probably play each other next season.
Yeah.
What was him to not go out there and oh no, and throw a quick out on the first play of the game, and and it's ran back for a touchdown the other way.
Can we have emergency scheduling can we have LSU play Arizona State? Sam Leavitt.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
How Leavitt kind of backed out of Arizona State towards the end of the year, and he ended up going to LSU. And
we should not know 17 years in advance who teams are going to play.
We need revenge games, and this isn't providing revenge games. What's the funnest thing in the NFL?
Oh yeah, the first game of the season is the two Super Bowl teams play each other.
But it's not only that. When you see revenge games of these players that sign with other teams.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then you get to see the revenge game of Micah Parsons. He now at the Packers. I know he's got a torn ACL right now, but now when he played playing the Cowboys, right? Yeah. Revenge game. It's awesome to see.
I will go. I was going to bring up the NFL. We were talking about whether Indiana will make the playoffs next year.
Yeah.
On average, do you know? So there's 14 teams in the NFL make the playoffs every season. You got the wild card and everything. I think that's right. Yeah, 14. Do you know on average how many teams don't make it the next season?
Oh no.
That's
7.
Yeah, on average, half of them don't.
Half the teams that make the playoff this year will not make the playoff next year.
And why is that? What could you attribute that to?
It's the biggest thing is the schedule. Two is because the way it's set up, the worst team in the NFL gets the first pick. You take a team like the Patriots. They were 4-12 last year. They are 60 minutes away from playing Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah,
and I hope they do.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I hope the quarterback that played North Carolina may.
Yeah,
it just shows you once the Cowboys lost, I was out of the NFL. I don't watch it as much, but
that goes to show you
guy that broke Alabama's heart right there.
If you look at the teams who make the playoff every year in the NFL, there's one thing every one of them has in common: by far the best quarterback. Indiana by far had one of the best quarterbacks. Miami by far had one of the best quarterbacks. Georgia, who got beat by Oh, guess what? Both of those teams had great quarterbacks.
Good quarterback.
Shameless.
When Alabama was just on fire in the middle of the season, their quarterback was healthy and he was slinging the ball over the place. The second he got hurt, all of a sudden, there goes the team. I'm telling you, from here on forward, it is not about who you schedule, when you schedule, which I think we should drastically change. But you have got to have the quarterback. You got to have a left tackle, and you got to have a couple of wide receivers.
I would say you got to have a center too. I think the center is the most underrated position in college. And if you think about the dang good Alabama football teams, you think about some of those centers. Remember Dickerson, man?
Oh, yeah.
The dude plays on the Eagles now.
Yep.
Landon Dickerson.
He had a broke ankle and went out.
He wanted to make sure
the last snap. Yes,
he had a snap in the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what you call loyalty right there. Kelsey, you're at your time, buddy.
We are, guys. We're at our time. Hey, real quick, guys, want to thank you for tuning in, watching us tonight. We always have a good time here at Off the Bench. And nothing's going to change that. Unfortunately, this weekend, we do look like we're going to have inclement weather, a lot of ice, a lot of snow coming down through the southern part of the United States, which does cause a lot of issues. Mainly Walker jumping up to the studio. She gets a shout out tonight of going up to the studio. So we're going to see when time comes closer, what we're going to do with the show. We're not sure what's going to happen, but we may be here Saturday. We may not. If not, we'll be back for the midweek update. Well, actually, no.
I was gonna say we'd have to thaw out, dude.
We'd be back possibly for we'll see what happens Wednesday. But the next show you will see will be season 2, episode 1 of Off the Bench in the offseason.
I think that's, and I was going to say what's next, man. I mean, we got to talk a little bit more about the portal. I really want to break down Bama's class and where we see different players going. You know, Bama actually got hot at the end of the portal.
They did,
those last couple of days.
Big time.
You know, the recruiting class, they've already started signing some folks. So it's going to be a good conversation about what's next for Alabama and really what's next for college football.
Of course,
we'll have some good, some fun, jabs about, how could we fix college football. I think Josh Pate took on that today as well. And
a lot of what ifs, a lot of story time, what happened, really what a lot happened during the season. A lot of stories we have about during the season, but it's going to be an entertaining off season. So don't think that we're going away for the off season. No, the Off the Bench College Football Show is going to be right here live in the Angel Share Garage Bar. So if you can't find us here on Saturday, that means we have taken the day off to play in the snow or the ice, whatever we may have. So we may be here as well as 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, Jocks Huntsville here locally in North Alabama. If not, we're going to do our best to get it back up and running Wednesday for season 2, episode 1 of the offseason here on the Off the Bench College Football Show. Guys, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know right when we go live here. We will see you guys next week, sometime next week.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.